haven't seen clients since, I haven't seen anyone in person since the 7th of March, which is actually quite a lot earlier than everyone else. And I just, because I'm super cautious. I'm just interested because obviously if you follow the similar path, then the idea is that you sit in with a supervisor, you sit in with another lawyer for your training contract, and you learn as you go. So you're given pieces of work to do. In my day, it was pieces of paper and a file, but I imagine now it won't be. It will be online anyway, because we've all moved to paperless, relatively. That there are files here, but don't hold that against me. I'm transitioning. But everything is online, so I can't. Everything's e-bundles, but what I'm wondering is, I learnt so much by being in the room with somebody when they were on the phone, and the culture of staff and the idea of confidentiality, which I don't think really people understand unless you're in the business. So it's this idea of what can you say to someone, and that you could be picked up on these things immediately because you're in the room. And you're like a sponge, of course you are, because you've never done it before. And I suppose I'm just wondering have you thought about that?
I definitely have those fears. Like, I'm worried that when it comes time to have like my training contract, which we call like an articling position in Canada, I'm worried that I will not be as qualified as someone, let's say, like had an articling position like 5 years ago, like for that exact same reason. Like, I'm very much like I learn best in person. Like, even like my textbooks, like I buy my textbooks, the physical copy, because I like reading it. I don't like reading it like online. Like, I'm just not that type of person. So I'm genuinely worried, like I'm going to be having like Zoom conversations with like my like superior lawyers or like the firm, and I feel like I won't be learning as well. I feel like I won't be as productive, and that's really worrying, because it's like you want to do well in your profession, you want to be like a leader, and you want to like progress, but like I feel like that's really going to be hindered, and it's going to be a really big challenge that I'm going to have to face like when it comes down to it. And I just don't know what that's going to look like. And I think that's a part of the fear and a lot of uncertainty that I have right now, is like, as much as like I just need to get through this year to like even finish my law degree, there's like 10 other steps that I have to worry about to even like get my first year salary. And that's like, it's something not easy to kind of live with.
Oh, I'm the same. I find it better to be in person in the room with people. So like even meetings with my academic advisor, I much prefer to be sitting with her and speaking with her. I feel like when we have a Zoom call, there's sort of like this passive, like sometimes she'll be talking to me and I don't know, with distractions at my home and things, I'll sort of just passively be listening to her, or I don't know. I feel better in the room, in the classroom with others. And I don't know how, when you're a trainee or when you're doing pupillage, what that's going to look like. You know, like with barristers, you have to be on your feet all the time. I don't know how that's going to be at all. It's just.
I mean, I've got a friend who works at the Ministry of Justice. She's a government lawyer, and don't hold it against her. She's one of the good guys. But she said that they've been having discussions because for some of the younger ones, you know, a big part of their training and their learning is to be together and learn from each other and bounce off each other. And my personal view is that there needs to be a lot more thought about you guys than there is. I don't know if you think the same, Jo.
I mean, certainly, in terms of equality of experience, no. I just want to go back a little bit to the court experience at the moment, although I don't do much court work, and the court work that I do, I'm going into the private system. But the other end of the spectrum, where, for example, perhaps the local authorities trying to take a child away from somebody, you're talking about people who haven't got much money, perhaps aren't very able, and these drastic decisions are being made in a hybrid way. So they may not even have the tech. They might have a phone, with perhaps not very good broadband, or any. So I think it's either we're all in court or we're all online, and it can't be. I think a hybrid is terrible for the people who can't access it. So although yes, I appreciate that's the way they're going, I don't think that's not equal. It's different.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because when you're in a room and then you've got like a few people joining online, you you just sort of forget about them, don't you?
Of course, and they, like Jasmine was saying, you become more passive when you're not with everyone else. Inevitably, you kind of withdraw a bit because no one's interacting with you. It's like babies. If you don't touch them, stroke them, and talk to them, they have terrible life chances because they don't develop as they should. And we're just the same. We need all of that.